Some people don't disappear because they don't care. They disappear because one day they realize no one ever really saw them. Not fully, not deeply, not the way they were always seeing everyone else. And something inside them quietly gives up. It doesn't happen in one moment. There's no big fight. No final goodbye. No dramatic ending. It happens slowly. They reply a little later than usual. They stop explaining themselves. They start saying, "I'm tired," more often, even when sleep doesn't fix it. And one day they just go quiet, not completely gone, just less available, less present, less reachable. You've probably felt this before. That moment when you open your phone, scroll through your contacts, and realize there's no one you actually feel like talking to. Not because people aren't there, but because you don't feel understood by any of them. So you put your phone down and sit with that feeling. That's where the disappearance begins. Not from the world, but from the version of you that kept trying too hard. These people were never careless. They were the ones who noticed everything. The slight change in someone's tone, the delayed reply, the energy shift in a room. They felt things deeply, sometimes too deeply. And for a long time, they carried it all. Other people's emotions, other people's expectations, other people's problems. Without realizing, they were slowly drowning, but they didn't complain because they were used to being the strong one, the one who listens, the one who fixes, the one who fixes. So when they started breaking, they didn't tell anyone. They just got quieter. Here's what most people don't understand. When someone disappears like this, it's not weakness. It's not attitude. It's not ego. It's what happens when a person reaches their emotional limit. The mind can only handle so much, and when it gets overloaded, it doesn't always explode. Sometimes it shuts down, it pulls back, creates distance, cuts off noise, because deep down it knows something needs to change. So they step away from conversations that feel forced, from relationships that feel one-sided, from places that drain more than they give. At first, it feels strange. The silence is loud. The loneliness feels heavy. They reach for distractions, but nothing really works, because now there's no escaping their own thoughts. And that's when everything hits. All the things they ignored, all the feelings they buried, all the moments they chose others over themselves. It all comes back, stronger, clearer, harder to ignore. There are nights they can't sleep, lying awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations in their head, thinking about what they should have said, what they should have done differently, why they kept accepting less than they deserved. And slowly they start seeing the truth. Not about others, but about themselves. They realize how often they overgave, how often they stayed silent just to keep peace, how often they pretended to be okay, just to avoid conflict. And that realization hurts, because it means accepting something difficult. They weren't just hurt by others, they also hurt themselves by not choosing themselves. That's the turning point. That's where rebuilding begins, not outside, inside. They start asking questions. Who am I when I am not trying to impress anyone? What do I actually want when no one is watching? Why do I feel guilty for putting myself first? At first, there are no clear answers, just confusion, just overthinking, just silence. But slowly something shifts. They begin to understand their patterns, the way they attach, the way they overthink, the way they ignore red flags, just to feel connected. And once you see those patterns, you can't unsee them. So they start changing, not in big dramatic ways, but in small, quiet decisions. They stop replying instantly. They stop saying yes to everything. They stop explaining themselves to people who never tried to understand them. They start setting boundaries. And at first, it feels uncomfortable, even wrong, because they're not used to choosing themselves. But with time, it starts to feel right, peaceful. They spend more time alone, not because they hate people, but because they're finally learning how to be okay with themselves. They build routines, they reflect more, they protect their energy, and slowly they feel stronger, not louder, not more confident in a flashy way, just more stable, more aware, more in control of who they are. But here's the part most people don't talk about. When they come back, They don't come back the same. Something has changed. They're still kind, still understanding, still calm. But there's a distance now, a boundary, a quiet strength. They don't chase like they used to. They don't beg for attention. They don't try to fit into places where they don't belong. Because they've learnt something important. Not everyone deserves access to them, and not every connection is worth keeping. People will notice. They'll say, "You've changed. You've become distant. You're not the same person anymore." And they're right, because the old version of you was slowly breaking, and this new version refuses to go through that again. There's still loneliness sometimes. Moments where you miss the old connections, the comfort of being needed, the familiarity of being surrounded. But you don't miss the exhaustion, you don't miss the confusion, you don't miss feeling invisible or giving everything. So you keep going, alone but not empty, quiet but not lost. Because now you understand something most people don't. Healing doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like choosing yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. And that's okay, because you're not running away. You're rebuilding, piece by piece, thought by thought, habit by habit, until one day you wake up and the heaviness is gone, not completely, but enough to breathe again, enough to feel okay again. And when you return to the world, you won't be the same person who left. You won't be searching for validation. You won't be begging to be understood. You won't be trying to prove your worth, because now you know it. And that changes everything. So if you've been disappearing, if you've been quiet, if you've been rebuilding in silence, you're not falling behind. You're not losing people. You're not broken. You're doing something rare. You're facing yourself. And that takes strength most people don't have. So take your time, stay in the silence a little longer, grow in places no one can see, because when you finally come back, you won't just return. You'll rise. And this time, if someone loses you, you won't lose yourself trying to keep them.